The Indianapolis Colts versus the Buffalo Bills. And here's how I see it. It's like the Buffalo Bills right now, if I was doing a regular season power ranking to end the year, it would have been either the Bills or the New Orleans Saints as the number one team of how they were playing at the end of the year. But playoffs are different. To me, especially in the NFL, NBA as well, you kind of throw the regular season out the window because playoff experience matters a little bit more. Specifically, the referees start to swallow the whistle. And so, in my experience in watching the NFL, once you get into the playoffs, younger teams with younger quarterbacks, younger wide receivers, they're not used to being roughed up at the line of scrimmage and being contacted 10 or 15 yards downfield. Stuff that would be a penalty during the regular season is no longer a penalty in the playoffs. That's why Belichick used to just ravage the Indianapolis Colts, those old Patriots-Colts matchups, because the Colts could not adjust to the physicality of playoff football. It's less physical today than it was in the 2000s, 2010s and stuff, but it's still an issue. So I'm curious. Now, Indianapolis has got a great defense. Buffalo's defense is playing so much better as of late. Like they are, and their offense has been next level. They took a little bit of a dip around the midpoint of the year. I think weather had something to do with that. But Buffalo, man, what I'm trying to say here is Buffalo's playing some of the best freaking football in the world right now. Maybe the best in the NFL. But the Indianapolis Colts, I know they kind of squeaked by the Jaguars, even though they won by 14 and stuff. That game was a little bit in doubt towards the end. But the Indianapolis Colts defense is good. I don't think this is a great matchup for either team. I think it's a tough draw for both teams, especially the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills. But here's how I see it if you're playing fantasy in any respect. I'm sitting Rivers this week. Buffalo's defense is playing too good. They're giving up 18 points per game the last 3 games. They're just getting better and better, and they're peaking at the right time. Jonathan Taylor's playing better. I start him. Hines is a start grade for me, but I think I stay away from Hines this week. The receivers I don't like at all for Indianapolis. If I had to pick one, I would actually pick Pittman or maybe even Pascal. For Buffalo, on the other hand, of course, you're starting Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen might even be the most successful runner this week against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm starting Diggs. I'm starting Cole Beasley, and I kind of stay away from everybody else. I think there's probably going to be another touchdown in there, but I don't think it's going to go to Gabriel Davis or whoever else. I don't know if it goes to Knox. Maybe it's just a rushing touchdown for Josh Allen. But I'm going to leave it there for now. We'll get to the spread in a bit. David, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, this kind of smells like possible upset alert, doesn't it? Like you're right. The Bills are playing great football right now. Josh Allen's in the MVP conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the but. This is a really good Colts defense, and the playoff experience. It tilts towards the Colts. I think they definitely. I mean, Rivers absolutely does.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen. I mean, he hasn't. Did they play one game last year in the playoffs?
Yeah, they played, and that was, I believe, they played Houston before Houston lost, and that was the game where, I mean, they were scoring, but that was the game where, in my opinion, Allen kind of got the yips towards the end of the game. He had that weird lateral, he was kind of going wild, and to me, that was youth, and I do think he's taken a step up. Before I switch it back, I'm looking at Buffalo, and I knew Buffalo was going to come out and try to win that game against Miami yesterday to get the 2 seed. That's what kind of a younger team does, aggressive head coach, and I love Buffalo, I really do. But that number 2 seed, man, I would rather have the number 3 seed and be playing Cleveland this week, to be honest with you, if I was Buffalo. I do not like this matchup for the Bills. I don't, but I don't like it for the Colts either. And the Colts, meanwhile, they're the number 7 seed in this new format. Tennessee wins the division. They have Baltimore, which we're going to talk about later. Gosh, if I'm Tennessee, I would honestly, I don't know who I'd rather play. Tennessee, I guess they've beaten both the Bills and the Ravens, but I don't really want to be facing the Ravens. Like the AFC South got really nailed in these matchups. Like Buffalo and Baltimore come in the hottest, definitely this weekend. I don't envy the AFC South and what they have to do. But anyway, take it. I'm passing it back to you. I'm volleying it back to you, David.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the matchup for the Bills. I don't like it offensively. The Colts have been playing good, and Josh Allen's been playing great. But I think Diggs, obviously you start Diggs, but I don't really feel comfortable investing. There's a lot of I'm in a playoff challenge. You pick one player from each team.
Right.
I will not be picking Josh Allen as my quarterback. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And, I pick two. You pick 2 per position. So 1 per team, 2 per position. So you pick 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wideouts, 2 flex. I'd rather pick like Diggs. if I'm in one of those kind of playoff challenges as my wideout. I love Jonathan Taylor. I think this is a great matchup for him. I think they're going to look to feed him. And Buffalo, they're middle of the pack right now. They're 17th in rushing yards per game allowed. So they're not stopping anybody. They're not shutting anyone down. So
I mean, they are playing better as of late, but I agree with you. I think the way to
they played of late, they played
Miami, New England.
What I mean, that offense is garbage. I mean, so it's hard to really say they've been playing better defensively, or maybe they've just been playing worse teams defensively. I still think when you look at the bigger picture this year, this Buffalo defense has regressed from last year, and I think you're going to get a heavy dosage of Jonathan Taylor, and I expect probably Josh Allen to make some of his mistakes. So I won't be surprised if Indianapolis wins this game.
Yeah, I do see it a little bit differently. I do see Buffalo as improved because I have been watching a lot of Bills this season, and they have played poor teams and put up, in my opinion, like kind of poor output. I do believe their defense is playing better, but I agree with you. I think that the best way to attack Buffalo, it's not up the sidelines. I don't think this is a wide receiver on the outside game. I think Indianapolis. Oh, by the way, I completely neglected to mention tight end is a really nice matchup. If you're gonna take a flyer on a tight end this week, that's the problem. Is that Indianapolis is a true flyer on Indianapolis because they have a bunch of options at the position.
But we've talked about all year. The upside at the Indianapolis tight end position, because almost one of them seems to always put up fantasy points. It's just figuring out which one of them it's going to be on a weekly basis.
Yeah. It is running back. I mean, I think we could probably predict the game plan. Buffalo, they're not going to get a lot of yardage on the ground, I don't believe. I think it's going to be Josh Allen running. And to me, this whole game comes down to is how much has Josh Allen really matured or calmed down when it comes to pressure situations. Because last year, he did okay, but he kind of failed the test in my book. I think the Bills fans would all give him a pass.
I'll never forget that lateral.
That lateral was, I'm sorry, Bills fans.
I'll never forget that.
That was the funniest play I have ever seen in NFL history. Is just what does this dude do? You can see he's just trying to do too much. That's what a young player does. But he's seriously, I can't say enough about Josh Allen in terms of complimenting. Because, look, I'll cut him down there. That was the goofiest thing that he did. That was so wild. And it's not like he played an awful game. He was just trying to do too much at the end of that game last year. Is he going to take another step forward? I think he's playing with confidence now. I think the whole Buffalo Bills team is playing with confidence. I really honestly, coming into the playoffs, they are playing the best football. Now, am I going to say that they're a better Super Bowl odd than, say, the Kansas City Chiefs? Hell no, I'm not going to say that. But coming into the offseason, I mean, you got to give some respect to them. Let me hit you with the line and let me get your thoughts on this. Indianapolis on the road at Buffalo, first playoff game of the week on Saturday, is +7 versus the Buffalo Bills. What would you take in that one?
I'm taking the points. I think it's going to be a close game. It's playoff football. We talked about it last week too. And I've been getting burned, I feel like, by big spreads all season long. And 7's not a big spread. But for playoff football, it seems like a big spread to me. So I'll take the points in Indianapolis here.
Yeah, I'm looking at so my computer projections, basically projection score has Indianapolis 30, Buffalo 33, which I think the computer projections are coming back high. Computer says 3-point game, so obviously Indianapolis would be where the computer comes back in at. I don't know. When I wrote down the scores this morning, I wrote down Buffalo 27, Indianapolis 17. Let me say this. If this is week 18 of the NFL season, to me, I would bet on Buffalo, even though that's a high line. My real advice would be to stay away from this game because I do think that Buffalo is the better team, but I got to see what Josh Allen looks like in playoff football this year before I'd put money down on the Bills. And you're right. I mean, Phillip Rivers, he gets overshadowed by, of course, Tom Brady and back then Peyton Manning and now Patrick Mahomes and Ben Roethlisberger his entire career. But Rivers has had success in the playoffs. He's a good quarterback. Man, this is going to be, I think this is one of my favorite matchups of the week. I'm not going to bet it. If I'm going to make a pick, I'm going to say I'm going to trust my eyes and what I've seen the last few weeks. I'll take the Buffalo Bills, but it all is on Josh Allen's shoulders, as it should be. Like you said, he's kind of in the MVP, talk there. Now, let's move on to the next game. Second playoff game of the week, also on Saturday.